Ignition sequence start.
And we are live with the Primas in 5,
4,
3,
2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Primas podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us. Please, before you move on, hit the subscribe button, like us, share us, the whole YouTube thing. Okay, so Primas y Primos, today's episode is a little different because Eloy, my little brother, our editor, was really excited to talk about the infamous Raider game, which is an inside story between the Barajas clan. No one really knows the details up until today. It's all coming out today. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Eloy because he is going to take us on a journey. Take us there.
Okay, so
Eloy.
I had to make sure I prepared myself for this. And I was like, why do I want to talk about this story? And I was like, the reason I'm excited is, for one, there's not a lot of epic stories that are worth telling that we're all a part of, us four, all a part of. I don't know why Robert's disagreeing. That all four of us are a part of that's epic like this.
Okay, what people aren't seeing, and hopefully you guys start putting the videos out. Jess is over there doing fish lips behind the scenes, like taking selfies.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica's the Kardashian of the Primas podcast.
Thank you for throwing us off. All right, back as I was saying. So I felt like all four of us are comfortable recording these things. So it's like, whoa, when do any of us have any other story than this that we could tell that we can tell that we're all involved in? So that's one. So it's an historic event. And then one thing I wanted to say is this podcast, if you guys listen, know it promotes growth. And I feel the best way to move forward is to be aware of your past. And that was something I had to prep myself to say. But I'm not saying Jessica
that was deep, bruh.
I'm not saying Jessica needs to grow by reminiscing right now, but it is a story for the ages. And as long as I can remember, Jess never wants me to tell this story. Like every time I would even start laughing about it, she would look in the back and do the hand to her neck, like, don't tell the story. And so I was like, oh my God, it's the funniest thing ever. And you never let us tell it. So I felt like, yep, it's time. I was like, yo, it's the anniversary. She actually also mentioned that I didn't even know, but yeah, this story happened 9 years ago. So Jessica,
This event, not story. This event took place 9 years ago.
The story takes place.
This action.
But I think it's time, Jess, that we let the world know what really happened the day of October 23rd, 2011 in the Oakland Coliseum.
Dang! It was in October?
During the Raiders versus Chiefs game.
What was the final score, Eloy? We need that. That's important. Fact.
28-0.
Raiders lost.
Typical Raiders lost.
That's why that happened. Jessica was just pissed at the man.
I'm not sure if this is called the infamous Raider game or the cursed night anymore. Like we should probably call it the cursed weekend because that whole weekend was full of curses.
I don't know. It's kind of I would call it the Phoenix because out of something so ugly, something so beautiful came out, and we're here together today.
Yeah, that was the prime of our ratchet days. So you're right, Eloy. This story involves all of the family members because prior to this moment, it was just Cindy and I, we're going to go to the graves with our stories that no one knows about. But this one, it involved everybody in the room. And you're right, it happened 9 years ago. So I just applied for a new job. I had a life scan and turns out it's no longer in my record, which is why I'm comfortable talking about it now live. I did my time.
Life. You did your time, Prima.
I know you were carrying that one for a while. You're like, man, how am I going to explain this to Melody? Now you don't have to.
Exactly.
She's going to have
to
watch
learn.
You learn. You got your BA now. You're going back to church. I see you, cuz.
He's the only person that I know has got baptized for 3 different religions, but that's cool.
That means she's safe all the way around.
So, anything else, Jess, you wanted to say before we get into this story? Like I felt like you were saying earlier, there was some positive you saw out of it. Something you felt like there's a reason people should hear this story.
Yes, because like Eloy said, no one really knows the truth, right? For a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. Up until your other brother, Abraham, would bring it up when I didn't want to. So he kind of forced me to talk about it.
Oh, non-consensual.
I wish I would have done therapy right after because it would have saved me a whole lot of mistakes in my life, but I wouldn't change a thing I've done. I mean, I am the person I am today, right? Isn't that what most people say when they make terrible mistakes?
Have we said what it is yet that we're talking about? Did you say it already?
No.
Are we going to say it right now?
Yeah. I want to hear yours. I want to hear you bring it up.
Well, first we're gonna just get it out of the way, and then I'm gonna get into the whole detail from how it started day one. But you guys need to know so that no one is shocked. But uh, after the game was over, Jessica did not exit that stadium with us, her family, and friends.
Willingly.
She exited the
A private
stadium.
escort.
She exited the stadium in handcuffs, escorted by the police. She was going to the. She was going to the clink.
Let me tell you a picture of what that looked like. I didn't see it, but this is how I imagine in my head. That mascara just dripping down somebody's face,
Nope,
flipping
it was
everybody off
waterproof.
on their way out, and my sister just nodding her head behind her, just shut the hell up.
Oh, Cindy, you talk about it. You were there. You were an eyewitness.
Wait, no, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. You can already tell where Robert is just reliving that energy back. He's back in 2011. He remembers. He remembers. For some reason, Robert has a reason to be pissed in the story. He justifies. He thinks. So he thinks.
It's in my diary.
All right, let's get into it then. Everyone, we're gonna give you guys the story from the beginning, and I'm gonna go ahead and take us on this journey. So this is your classic tailgate story. You know, everyone's had one. It was a pretty dope family event that my brother Abraham put together. He always does every year. We do at least one Raider game. Even though I'm not a Raider fan, I do need to let that be known. It's all about the Green Bay Packers. And
you are low key though, because you've never been to a Packer game. You've only got a Raider
I'll
game.
admit, and I know they'll say stuff on the comments. I do support the Raiders now, just because I've seen so many damn games. They know it, but I don't get hurt when they lose. Anyways, I'm digressing here. So some of the, like I said, there was a classy group of guys, your typical high hitters. Some of the big names were Javi Barajas, aka Uncle Javi, aka Jess's dad. Abraham Barajas, I mentioned my older brother. Who else do we have? Your mom was there.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Gloria.
not AKA Abraham. That's actually his name, Abraham.
AKA Hamster. His wife and his kids were there. Ruben and Junior were there. We had some special celebrity appearances from Toby Hicks, local comedian, longtime Abraham's neighbor, and he was just always dope dude to hang around. So he was there, and we had a surprise guest from my friend from Colorado, my high school buddy Josh. He was going to school in San Francisco at the time, and he came down on the BART. Some say to meet the love of his life, but we'll get into that later. But so yeah, that was everyone that was there. So in total, there was about 20 of us that were all tailgating, and we should have known this weekend was cursed from the start, because typically when we take off to these Raider games, we try to leave at 5 a.m. or sometime early in the morning to just spend the Saturday in Oakland. But Abraham rented this motorhome, this like RV, and we were all going to be crammed in, and it breaks. It just doesn't work. I don't know what happened to it. We just arrived and we end up not leaving.
I think you're missing a big point. It broke before we even left.
That's what I'm saying.
In front of his house.
Yeah. We didn't even take off. It was just he picked it up and then parked it outside his house, and when we were going to leave, it just didn't turn on anymore or something like that. And so I was like, that's a bad sign. So we don't end up leaving until like 12 p.m., get there like at 6. Cindy, are you there? I don't know if you wanted to speak on how you got there.
Yeah, so we were really excited. I was really excited because my brother Abraham invited me, and he was like, it's gonna be all the guys, like, and I was thinking like no kids, like we do stuff when no kids are around, like adult stuff. And so I was like, yeah, the RV. So I was like super duper excited. But then the day before, Cynthia, my brother's wife, decided to go. So he's just like, I paid for your ticket, so you're gonna go with my wife and my wife and kids, and help them, whatever. And so that changed everything for me, because I was trying to party, and I just around that time I was helping. I didn't, when there's little kids around, like I like to be
Gotcha.
hands on with them and whatever. So that's how we got there. We just rented a car.
And that sucks. You didn't even get to hang out with the boys, play video games with
Yeah,
us.
I was looking forward to like.
Cindy.
We're looking forward to what?
Sorry about that.
You were looking
I was
forward to what?
excited about like smoking and singing and just being with my brothers. Like all my brothers were going, except for Martin because he was still in Colorado. But I know all of my brothers. Like Chris went, I think. Johnny, did Johnny go?
Johnny was there. Johnny Ramos.
Johnny was there, and like that's the homie, and like Pedro and Toby Hicks. I was, I don't know. I was
Pedro
just
was
excited.
not there.
Pedro didn't go.
You just threw a random name out there. Pedro was
Pedro
not
didn't
there.
go.
Yeah. Abraham's drummer from his band just went to a
He
Raider
wasn't
game.
there.
He's a Charger fan.
Pedro, a very well-known Charger fan, and he's just still crushing
Whoa! I totally think Eloy, stop. I totally think that was a childhood thing, you guys. But I totally think that.
Oh, that is a fact. We always think someone was there. Like I thought Nelly was there. I thought Martin was there. You thought Pedro was there.
Everybody thought Martin was there. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Because these people are always around. So the fact that some of them weren't there, it's just like weird. Anyway, yeah, so we ended up renting like a little small white car and we just drove there. We kind of drove behind the RV the whole way. So, yeah.
I don't even know how I got in the mix. It was so long ago. It was during my ratchet days, so I was drunk a lot of the time. And I just went along. And maybe I went along because I knew Cindy was going and maybe Cynthia at that moment. I was like, I want to go too. So, and my dad used to buy like not season tickets, but like you would buy 3 tickets for like 8 games, right? And my dad would get like, that's how we would go. So I went with my dad, my mom, and myself. Imagine that.
Yeah, me and Jess didn't know we were until like last minute. I heard you were gonna be there, and I'm like, oh, what? Like it was so crazy. It was so So that's how we got there.
Anyways, real quick, Cindy, you missed out on a lot of video games, joking around, clowning around. There was like a bed in there, so someone was just chilling in the back. There's a restroom, kitchen area. I think Abraham made Robert drive the entire way.
50 miles an hour.
No wonder Robert was so mad. No, that makes this is starting to make sense.
He was a passionate bus driver at that time, so I'm sure he enjoyed the ride.
He's like, I got this.
No. Abraham for some reason always has energy on the way to a Raider game because he likes to get a little tipsy
buck wild
at the game so that he can sleep the way back. And he knows that the tradition, if anybody knows me, I always like to come back the same day because I always have to do something on Monday. I don't care what time it is. We can leave at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll drive. So I always know that I'm going to drive back. So this wasn't going to be any different. I was expecting to drive back. So I actually, on the way to the Raider game.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. So you guys drove up there on a Saturday and the plan was to come back Sunday after the game, right?
Yeah.
No.
No. Hold on. So we're arriving to the motel. Okay. Yeah. Robert's going to tell that story right now. But you know what? My bad. I was just going to talk about arriving to the motel when we got there. But I didn't know if Robert wanted to say anything about the RV experience.
Oh, it's finally my turn?
My bad. Robert, it's your turn now.
I've been holding that right here in el corazon. 7 years, guys.
Yes, when you tell us we can't tell this, story, that means we can't even tell this part of it because we want to tell the whole thing, and there's no point of giving them only the beginning. So Robert's been holding this in.
So I wake up that morning. No, just kidding. So we get to Abraham's house in the morning, and I'm like, I really don't want to go. Abraham, for some reason, always ends up convincing us to go to one Raider game a year with him. It's been a tradition. I really didn't want to break tradition, but I was an undergrad, and I was, just studying, cramming. I think I had
you're really getting detailed.
So I was cramming for a paper. Then Jessica gets arrested. The end.
Robert, ooh, this is bringing back memories, bro. We need to wait. We haven't fixed this problem.
Wait. Let's tell this story in order.
Robert was in therapy for a whole year after this day too. He was wiser than I was. It took me 9 years to
work on his rage.
I think I'm gonna go back to therapy because Eloy's again.
I don't know if he was wiser because I can't wait to tell my part.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We're gonna
But
tell.
that's a good point. Robert didn't want to go because he's not a football fanatic like we all are. Robert here and there will like, yeah, he's a Raider fan, but he's like on the boat with Cindy. He doesn't like football. He doesn't really follow it like us.
It's
So
not
for
that I
him
don't
to
like
just
football.
go,
I just like sports. I like
Yeah.
being with my family.
It's not
but I'm
even
not-
about
Exactly.
the game. It's about the
Yeah.
tailgate, and everyone knows it. It is not about the game.
but you're
at
right.
all.
Robert had a lot on his plate that weekend, and he was just like, you know what? Like
Exactly.
he said, it was tradition, so that says a lot for you to go. And then it's just unfortunate what happened after. You shouldn't have gone.
All right.
I know that
All
the
right.
first
Yeah,
time,
exactly.
hold on, let me get this off my chest, Eli. The first sign that I knew that this was gonna go lopsided was when the RV wasn't working. That was just like, Robert, eject, get out of here, don't go. But I was like, I guess we're not going. The RV don't work. Abraham ends up getting a hold of RV USA or something like that, whoever rented it to us. And they end up sending this guy in this big old semi truck to pick us up. He looked like James Edward almost in American Me with these handlebar mustache. And so we get there and we drive all the way to like, I don't remember, it was like the airport to pick up a new RV. And we're driving back.
OMG.
And then we're driving back. Abraham's calling everybody put your stuff on the sidewalk. I'm not even going to stop. I'm going to keep the car rolling and put your stuff in the car and we'll take off. Nothing happened.
You're right. That was an indication of how this
And so
whole
that's what happened
weekend
there.
went.
Go ahead, Eli. That's what happened there.
If there's any indication, okay. So we arrived to the motel. I'm gonna paint the scene for us real quick. Motel 6. If anyone knows this motel, literally across the street from the stadium, the Oakland Stadium, or Oakland Coliseum, like right next to like a Burger King and like a gas station, AM/PM. And we get there, and that's literally the ghettoest time to be at that hotel. That's already a ghetto hotel because, oh
Everyone's
man,
partying.
everyone's partying. There's
Imagine
a
that.
1,000 Raider fans already pre-tailgating the night before in the
Exactly.
motel parking lot. And then there's
What's the
a
element there, though? Eli?
there's very visible prostitution going on and very visible drug deals going on, and it's just a fun experience to bring your nephews and nieces when they're little kids.
And between all of that, we're playing football in the parking lot.
Yeah, we're just playing
Pimps are
football.
picking up the prostitutes. People are selling drugs. We're there throwing the ball, and hey, hold up, car coming, and you see
Me
this
and-
big Cadillac with a guy that looks like that pimp that used to hang out with Snoop Dogg come and pick up somebody, and you just see Cadillacs coming in and out like that. So
It
And
really
me
was.
and Jessica, when I got there, I like we went into the hotel room or to the motel room and like washed up or whatever, but I was like really tired, and then Jessica had gotten there and she was like not having a great time. Something had gone down, and so we were just walking around that place, just talking. Jess, do you remember? And then we like sat at the
No.
steps for a while.
I don't
Yes.
remember. I was gonna
Everybody
say
was just walking around, like it was so live, and it was late at night, and everybody. So it's funny. And then like I want to go smoke with the guys we were just smoking in public, and like it was funny. You don't remember? We were walking around like it was a mall. And we're like, oh, look, that's Toby's room. Oh, look, that's where my Theo Ruben is at. Oh, look. And we just started seeing, yeah, we were just walking around, and then we just stand in the stairs. And I'm like, now that you guys say that, it was just, and everyone's doing something totally wild in their room. Like some shit's going down. And you're just like, yeah, so we were just talking, Jess. You were like venting to me. And I was like, dude, I can't believe you're here. That's awesome. I didn't know.
yeah, I vaguely remember that. Sorry, Prima.
can I
She
just
was
say
on
that
acid. She
you
was on
brought up
acid that
Toby?
weekend.
You brought up Toby, and for some reason, this is like this one memory that I have of Toby. That hotel is ghetto as hell. No matter, I mean, the beds. I mean, you just don't want to. You're not there to sleep. You're there to just kind of. It's just your wait time before the Raider game the next day. But for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I passed by Toby's room, and it's immaculate. There's like this one lamp, a bottle of whatever he was drinking, a couple joints. Just, I mean, it was just like somebody was about to take a picture and put it in some lifestyle magazine. It was just like the perfect room, dim light, and that was the only
It was
time
a
I saw
vibe.
Toby that vibe in his room. Everything else was like, the ghetto. I thought I was gonna see Too Short. I mean, it was just
Toby looked like he belonged there. Like he knew what was up. Like he was just not that he belonged there. That sounds messed up, but like he just like. Or I mean, he's a travel comedian, so I'm sure he's been all over the place. But yeah. Anyway,
right.
so Robert, I was gonna I was gonna ask you, Robert, real quick. So you get there, and how was your trip getting there? I remember you were dealing with some issues. What problem were you trying to solve?
All right, so the whole, like I said, I'm in undergrad. I'm stressed out because I got tests, and somehow or other, Abraham convinces me to go, and I'm like, I can't go because I need to be back on Monday. And Abraham's like, well, you got to figure that out. We need you to go, but we're not coming back till Wednesday or whatever. And I'm
We need you to go.
like, you need to go, bro. Like, don't break tradition. Like, people lose, people stop talking to each other if they miss on this. Somehow,
Okay.
some way, he convinces me. He always convinces me, and I'm all stressed out all the way over there. The only thing that kind of relaxed me was the secondhand smoke from Toby hotboxing the RV, and we were just sitting there, and he was just telling because like my brother
That
was saying,
could have been me.
Toby was this Toby is this comedian. He's traveled. He's been around everybody, and so he was telling us his stories about being in around famous people, and so we were like, all right, that distracted me a little, and I'm like, in my mind, I was just like, I just need to find somebody that's coming back on Monday. Is there a Bart or
No, not Monday.
sorry,
Sunday.
a Sunday night? And like, if I could just book somebody to get me back home to this test on Monday, I have it made. So I'm like, all right, so that's in the back of my head, like stressing out. I'm trying to enjoy it. And so we're in this RV hearing stories. Then my brother's playing movies in for some reason Eloy decides to take over the bed in the back and he's watching movies on his laptop. And so I just chilled with him and I'm like,
Is
all
it
right.
midterms? Were you in midterms or you just had an important test on Monday?
I think it might have been finals or something. Something important because I was
October midterms.
midterms. Okay. Something. It was something. It might have just quiz.
But back then, Cal State LA a long time ago used to be quarterly.
Yeah. I think
so maybe
undergrad. I think I was
check.
I don't remember, but it was a test. Regardless, it could have probably been a 5. It could have been a 5-point quiz, and I was just stressing out because I shouldn't have been.
Anyways, we're at the hotel. And then what happens?
Can we just fast forward it?
I know. I'm trying to fast forward it. Just give me a quick sec. Robert keeps getting to the beginning of all his stories.
Yeah,
Robert. So you get to the hotel. How do you solve your problem?
Look, nobody's ever let me say this story. I finally get a chance. I'm gonna say the story the way I saw it.
Yeah,
okay.
Jess.
You want to hear the done story? Fine. I get there. I see my Uncle Javi, and he says, "Rob, I got to be at work on Monday too. Let's do it." I'm like, "That's it. My weekend's done. I got it. I don't care what happens from this point forward. Nothing can ruin this. Continue."
But my dad was infamous for leaving the Raider games halfway. If they were 0 to like hadn't scored any points, my dad was known for leaving at halftime and coming back from Oakland driving to LA. Exactly. So my dad's known for that, especially that year when the Raiders really sucked and they had like an 0-16 record. So it was even more set for Robert because not only was my dad known for doing this, he just solidified and reassured Robert, we're going to leave because we already know the outcome of tomorrow's game. We know we're going to lose. And so Robert knew for sure.
Like that. He might have said, like, Robert, pick your poison. You want to leave early or you want to leave after the game?
But my dad, So Robert for sure thought, okay, I have a solid ride home. Halftime tomorrow's game. So halftime tomorrow, the 1 o'clock game is 4 o'clock. You would have been back in LA by 10 p.m.
Enough time.
All right. So Robert's problem gets solved. He has a ride because we're still leaving Monday, but he now has a ride after the game, make his midterm. And then next day comes, our tailgate starting. And this is the best part of the weekend. I always look forward to the tailgates. These are the best. The food is always bomb. The atmosphere is bomb at the tailgate. A bunch of Raider fans. Just it's like a backyard boogie vibe, And so the problem that we run into at first is, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was no parking for the RV. Like they closed, like the parking for the RVs were shut down. And we were like, what the hell? What are we going to do? And we ended up finding parking in the train station where Bart is, the exit that leads to the stadium. And then there was people tailgating there. So like we got lucky finding that spot. And then we set up. My friend Josh shows up from San Francisco. Everyone's just, setting up. We're partying. Abraham brought taco meat. He had like 30 pounds of meat. He had like a bunch of chicken, carne asada, carnitas. We had the beer pong going.
We had coffee in the morning. I remember that because of the RV. Thanks to the RV, we were making coffee.
I remember on the drive, you know those little boxes that hold like the little liter of sodas, like those half cup boxes. Toby was in the back where the bed was of the RV, just rolling up blunt after blunt after blunt, like he had a mountain of weed in this little cardboard box.
That's what I missed out on. See?
No, and the interesting thing was, so Toby has this cardboard box of like a mountain of weed, like Mount Washington size weed. You can't even see over him. He's like Tony Montana with a mountain of cocaine, but this was just weed. And then he had random relatives and cousins that would come into the RV, and he's like, "Oh hey, this is my cousin. Oh hey, this is my nephew. Oh like." People were just getting smoked out in the RV.
Toby had people coming to visit him that we didn't know, and they were just coming through.
That's so cool.
Every single one had their own blunt to smoke with him, and he was just taking it it was like a really dope vibe going on in our area. We had music blasting. Everyone was just chilling. It was a successful tailgate.
You start tailgating at 8 o'clock in the morning. You wake up at 6 to make line to go in. You start tailgating and barbecuing and drinking and playing beer pong, whatever the case may be, at 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock when the game starts. So that's 6 hours. In my defense, I couldn't hang.
6 hours.
21.
6 hours of beer drinking. Just put it lightly, but 6 hours. Like, you give me 6 hours and a bunch of endless beer, you got yourself a rager.
It's 6 hours of Cactus Coolers.
So you're saying it was the environment's fault?
No, I said it was a factor in what led up to me getting arrested.
I remember when we woke up and Jess got her coffee from the gas station, she took out of her pocket a little flask and she was pouring it into her coffee, and she's like, "We got to start this day off right." And she was just starting off with lick. Straight.
She licked her lips. She licked her teeth.
I don't know why, but I remember Jessica going, "I'm gonna get fucked up."
She kept rubbing her finger across her teeth a lot. She just kept going like this. You guys all right?
At 8 in the morning.
Wait, Jess, why were you going so hard that day? You just wanted to because it was a Raider game, or?
I don't know. I think I was just so hyped, like excited. And then a little side note, every time Cindy was there, I would just let loose even more so because I knew she always had my back. And tell me that it wasn't
that is a high stress environment for me.
Just is that type of girl that you can't tell if she's gonna start like smiling or crying, and she's just so like energized, and she just doesn't know how to like release her emotions. And she's like, "Raiders, I need a beer. I need a shotgun of beer." And then she just shotgun.
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, we had our moments. It was just a bad,
I could say this. I don't know how much Jess drank. I know obviously everyone brings a lot of beer to these events, but I don't know how much Jess drank. But I remember she drank to the point where Abraham was getting pissed that we were running out of beer, and he kept blaming Jess. He kept saying, "Dude, like, take the Bud Lights away," because Jess is like killing all the michelada ingredients, and she's like just like taking all the cups and stuff. So it got, I guess.
Were there bathrooms around? Because like, how does everyone drink so much?
We had the RV had the restroom.
Oh, okay.
I think there was porta johns because I think we're underselling that BART parking. It was like perfect parking. There wasn't a lot of people. We were able to, just have like the paradise tailgate. So everybody, I think we even clogged up that restroom in the RV. So people just, it was.
That's gross.
It wasn't a pretty thing, but it got it done.
Yeah. And
we got it done like it was a mission.
When I was 21, I had no self-control of my drinking. So
you were just 21?
Yeah.
No way.
I was 20.
I had turned 21. And I remember when I turned 21, right? Because I never had gone to a bar before I had turned 21, but I was drinking. I've been drinking since I was 15. But I would always, so when I had turned 21, I remember my drink was a shot of tequila and like a beer. And I would do that 2 or 3 times and black out.
What? Yeah, I feel like that'll do it.
Yeah, I learned.
I feel like you had to include the blackout part. Like that was part of the routine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you didn't enjoy it if you didn't black out.
Well, it wasn't the routine. That's just, everybody reacts differently to alcohol.
Exactly.
And like
But I
Jessica,
mean,
that's
I
how
think
she reacted.
to be honest with you, cuz the way that I saw you, you were just energized cuz Jess blacked out or Jess kind of like, all right, coming down from it is like you sitting crouching on a corner like on a sidewalk just kind of like just don't talk to me, just leave me here. And then my sister, fuck that puto, don't worry about him.
She
That
was
kind of
like,
that kind of image. That's what
she
I was
was like,
getting. You were so energized.
she was energized. She was like Batista from WWE, where he just grabs the rope and he just starts shaking it like that. Like that's how energized she was. Like
Yeah, I
Batista's
don't know.
celebration.
I don't know how I lasted that long from 8 o'clock in the morning until the moment I got escorted out was like 3 or 4. And then inside, I bought like another 2 beers. I remember, right? No one was drinking them but me.
I just kept seeing you with drinks. Your hands were never without a drink.
Like no one could have threw me a water. No one could have. And then
did you
no one could have told you nothing. Anyways, you get aggressive. You get feisty.
Because did you eat?
Lay off me,
Probably
I'm
not.
starving.
I ate a lot. Oh, I loved it because Nelly mandó her macaroni and just we had
She always does. We always get
barbecue.
that macaroni.
Oh, it was beautiful. I ate a lot. Those things I eat. I overeat for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, we're about. I want to say we were in like we all get into the. It was just so hyped. We get into the RV, and I think Eloy might have put on.
Oh, right before. So right before we're about to leave, we're like, "Yo, we need to just get sent off on a good hype song," and we play.
Everybody was energized.
It's me, Abraham, Robert, and my friend Josh was in there recording us, and we play the song by Kanye West, "Last Call." And then I don't know why we were just jamming into it, like getting ourselves hyped right before we were about to take off, and we were like, even if you ever hear that song, it's like an ending of the beat just playing, and Kanye West is just talking, like telling a story. And we were just like singing all the lyrics to that shit. And like at the story part, it wasn't even the song.
And we were tilting the RV side to side.
Oh,
all right. All right. So really quick, before we get to the Raider game and the juicy part of this story, I felt like when I was thinking about it and then like thinking about how I was going to tell the story, I felt like the universe was letting us enjoy that tailgate because like it wanted the tailgate to be fun for us. It's like we've already cursed them all weekend. So let's let them enjoy the tailgate because like they say, it's always calmest before the storm. And
like
boy, did Jess bring
Work up
some
a storm.
thunder from down under. Anyways, we walk.
Who would have thunk Jess was going to be the eye of the tornado?
So I don't know if you guys remember, but we had to cross a big long like Mexican border style bridge to get to the game.
Boy, I remember.
We get there. I don't know what Cindy's already in babysitter mode at this point. And like Jess is just like hanging from her screaming, Raiders, Cindy! Raiders, right?
You're not down.
Raiders! Like they all sound, all the Raider fans. Raiders! Robert, you want to do a quick one?
Raiders! Just imagine that amplified in a tunnel.
I have footage of you doing the Raider chant. I'll squeeze it in here. Raiders! And anyways, what happens? All right, so we get to the stadium, and I just remember everyone splits up, or at least I don't remember what. Like, I have nothing to do with the rest of this story. That's the entertaining side of it. I have nothing to do with the rest of that story. I remember we get there. Me and Josh had these nosebleed seats in the sun.
Were we sitting together? Me, you, Cindy, and Josh.
Were we at one point? Then you must have got up. I just don't remember that part. You must have not been with us long, because I know obviously the climax of the story has you jumping around the stadium quite a bit. So I'm sure you left us at some point. I just don't remember you. Okay. And it was just hot. Anyways, I got halftime. Me and Josh, let's go see if we could find some better seats. And having the nosebleeds, it took like 30 minutes to get down to like a regular level. And by the time we get there, like we're like sitting, like just keep getting kicked out of people's seats, and we're like, forget it, let's just go back. By the time we get back, another 30 minutes. So my part of the game was boring. Then the Raiders lose by 1 million. You know, like it was just a real waste of like walking time because we just walked all the way there and walked out. But so I just want to hear before we get into Cindy and Jess's side of the stadium story. Robert, how was your experience in the game? Because I definitely didn't see you anymore.
All right, so like Eloy said, we were energized. We get out of the RV, and everybody's ultimate warrior. We're walking through the border because there's not enough immigration to stop us, and we're just walking, screaming our lungs out, Raiders, and it's just a good time, energized. I was in my sandals because if anybody knows me, I love being in sandals. So I was in my sandals to the Raider game, and I'm walking. I'm like, man, this is uncomfortable, but it don't matter.
It's
Because
thong sandals.
once I sit in my chair, I can just sit there and enjoy the game. So strike one, the dang sun is directly in the seat that I'm sitting in, and Toby's in the back of me with a brand new pair of friends. And he's just, oh, I mean, everybody knew him. So people came up, I swear to God, they asked him for autographs. Aren't you Toby Hicks? Yeah. I was at the whatever in Oakland. And I'm like, he was just like the biggest fan. And I'm like sitting under him. And I'm like, yeah, I know him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in my chair, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm looking down and I'm like, man, there's some ruckus going on. Look at that person's getting arrested. I couldn't make it out. Somebody's getting
No
arrested.
way.
I swear to
You
God.
saw it? You saw something happen?
I saw something. Somebody was getting carried away. I'm like, yup, that's
What?
exactly it. Freaking Raiders, man. Freaking Raider fans can't hang. The game hasn't even started. They're already getting arrested.
Yep.
So I'm like,
Robert,
cool. It's not in my family. I'm good. As soon as we leave to the tunnel, my Uncle Javi does the ultimate, like, you ever see those commercials where your dad throws you the keys? Like, look what I got you, son. He just throws me the keys. Hey, Rob, I want you to go pick up the car from the hotel, come back to the spot where we're tailgating, and we'll take off from here. You got it, Javi. You got your bags in the trunk? It's all done, baby boo. We're good. So I got the keys in my pocket. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I could leave halfway through the game. I could leave at the end. I'm going home. So I'm there. Granted, somebody gets arrested, can't handle their liquor. Boom, boom, boom. They're out the door. I think the person had swung at somebody. I don't know what I saw. I just remember somebody getting escorted. Bam. The game sucks. I leave halfway through. Like one. Remember, I was wearing sandals. I exit through the other. I don't know how I got out. I exit the total opposite side of where we entered, and I end up on the opposite side of the freeway. And then I'm like, all right, I just need to find an entrance to get to the hotel. It took me at least an hour to find an entrance, so I must have walked for like 2 miles inside on the opposite side of the freeway.
Robert was Eddie Murphy on Bullfinger when he had to cross the freeway in traffic and his flip flops.
It was bad. I was in my flip flops. People were honking at me, and I'm like, this sucks. It doesn't matter though, because I'm going home and nothing can stop me. So finally, after an hour and some junk, I make the exit from the freeway and I'm getting close to the hotel. And who do I see? Uncle Javi. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. He wants to leave as bad as I do.
And how the hell did my dad make it there before you?
Because he exited the right way. Anyways, so he's walking. And I'm like, cool.
And he's wearing regular shoes.
This guy's energized. He walked. So he must have sobered up. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm going to get home even sooner. And as soon as, like, I know his silhouette, like I see him coming. But then as soon as I can see his face, I just see him nodding his head. And I'm like, I don't know what the problem is, but let me go get the car and we could bounce. And so I run to the car. And then my uncle has this red, at the time he had this red Jeep Cherokee. It was nice. The only problem with it is when you sit down, it laid back all the way back. So like you're driving and the seat's like laid back. And I'm like, how the hell does he drive like this? I go, it don't matter. We'll switch. I'll sit, whatever. And like, I was just like, it doesn't matter. So I go pick up my uncle and he's like, hey, Rob, I got some bad news. Whatever, Theo. Let's just go pick up my tia and Jess.
Tell me on the way.
And he's like, no, mijo. Jessica got arrested. Stop playing, Theo. Let's go. Let's go pick him up. Like, that's not even funny, dude. Not even playing. I don't play with you like that. I don't know you like that.
No, you like that.
So I'm like, let's just go pick him up and let's get out. Ha, ha, ha. No, mijo, she got arrested and we got to go get her. I wish you could see my face. He's like, Nah, mijo. She got arrested, I guess. I don't know.
She's
Kind of
gonna
like,
do some time up north.
and so I was like, my euphoria and happiness that I was finally gonna get out of Oakland turned into like my jaw
Nightmare.
just dropped, and I'm like, I know you and me don't hang around a lot together, Jess, and I love you, and I'm always gonna love you. But why is this the last impression I'm gonna get of you, Jessica? That you why out of all of the
Oh,
times
Judge
that you
Judy.
could out of all of the times that you could get arrested, you get arrested on the day that I need to get home.
No.
And so
Poor
I was just like,
Robert, man.
I was like, you know what? Whatever. What is it? It's gonna be a fine. We'll pick her up. And we're back on our way. You know what, Jess? Don't even look at me when I'm driving home.
Robert's a
That's
As
hater,
a matter
bro.
of fact, put my tia Gloria to sit with me. Jess, you're sitting in the front or in the trunk. I don't care, dude. But that's what happened. And so I'm like, all right, deal. Let's go to like Oakland Correctional Facility for Women or whatever it is. Let's pick her up. And so me and my Theo are playing Where's Waldo all over Oakland. We go into this bail bonds place. And I'm like, look, we're looking for our niece.
Wait, this is
we don't.
where is this? So you're already picking her up late the next day?
No, he's looking for me. They're looking for me at the moment.
But this is the next day, right? Like already
no,
after the
it's
game?
after the game.
No, this is right after the game. So the learning lesson for me is I learned how the system works when you get put into a drunk tank. So, I mean, if I ever wanted to go into criminology after that, I would have been good. So this is how it works. They put you in a drunk tank, and if you sober up, if somebody picks you up, they let you go. But for some reason, I guess my cousin was still energized or whatever. They took her to the women's correctional facility, the penitentiary in Oakland, and so we're over there.
It wasn't in Oakland.
It was in no, before they took you out. They put you in a drunk in a somewhere a holding place.
But in the Coliseum, right? It was still within the Coliseum.
So they took you to the Coliseum. I really don't know how it went down, but I remember that
we'll get your stories next.
The Coliseum gave us some information, so they sent us on a goose chase to go find you in downtown Oakland. And so we're there, and they're like, they have us waiting, and so I go into a bail bond. And I'm like, hypothetically, how much would it cost to bail my cousin out? But what happened? I don't know. Like, I just remember my uncle said she got drunk and she got arrested because she tried to slap a cop. I don't know if that's true. And then it changes. Like, she took on 2 guys that were Chiefs fans. And then it went that somebody threw gang signs and she decided to throw. I mean, it was just so much mystery thrown in there. Regardless, so we go there. They tell my uncle, nah, they took her to Ireland. Why the fuck would they take her to Ireland? And I find out the next day, Ireland is a city in Oakland where they have another jail. And so we have to wait the night. And so I'm like, man, I'm never getting home. So that whole time, my uncle's trying to like make me feel better. Like, no, mijo, look, we'll get up at 3 because that's the time they're gonna let her go.
They're being so nice to you.
And then we'll go.
He didn't deserve it. It sounds like.
We'll just go. But you know what? I think I missed something. So we get back to the tailgate because we go pick up my aunt Gloria, and then all of a sudden, my Jessica's mom, and then my sister and me go at it. For some reason, she thought that I was making it a big deal, and I was in my feelings.
That's right, Prima always has my back.
I just remember my sister having the silliest Day of the Dead half face mask with a Raiders jersey, like she was gonna be on a calendar for the Raiderettes. I was like, stop.
Hold on. Before we keep going there, before we go there, because so we're getting towards the end of Robert and before Cindy met, I wanted to hear Jess and Cindy what they remember happened in the Coliseum. Like, Cindy, what happened when you walked into the stadium? Because like I said, I got split up from everyone once we got in.
Okay,
apparently
so
you sat behind me at one point, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think when we first walked in, I think Jessica got some drinks. I don't remember too much because I was drinking too. I probably wasn't to that level, but I don't drink often, so like I get sensitive. Anyway, So we were sitting together, but Jessica was getting a little bit hyped up. Like there were some girls around us, and she was like, I don't know what they were. I don't know if they were wearing Chiefs jerseys. I don't know, but she was being like, a drunk sports fan. And so you guys left, and I think you guys left us like, nah, she's gonna start some fights. And so it was just me and her, and I was like, oh, because I was really scared because I didn't know how to navigate that place. I'd never been there before. I really just hopped on the bandwagon because I don't do sports. I've never really been into it like that. But my family's huge on Raiders, so I was like, fuck it, like I'll wear the jersey, I'll do the whole thing, and I got into it. And so anyway, we were so Jessica was like really drunk, like she was okay, so we moved from there, and then I think she went to go get some drinks, and then we started walking, and everywhere we walked, Jess, do you remember at this point?
No.
Oh, okay, so then we started walking.
She said no. She said no for everyone who didn't see her response.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but so like she was like bumping into people, like she was being rowdy. She was like trying to be funny, but like move, or like, yeah, I don't know, just a drunk sports fan. Like I don't know how to, they think they're being, they're all cool, but they're just being like rude. And so I was just like, no, stop it. I don't remember. I just remember being very intimidated because that wasn't my scene. I'm not around sports people, and a lot of people were drunk. So like some people were reacting to her, and I'm like, shit, it's just us two, like we're about to get jumped. And so she just kept bumping into people, and then eventually we got all the way to the bottom where we can see the players, and Jessica was like, this is where we need to be, and I'm just like, we're like so close. And she was rowdy, so people started to notice, and then the cops started to notice, like she's being rowdy, and then the cops come over, and then she like there was these guys sitting down, and then like she's like slapping them on the head because they were bald, like she just didn't want to do. It was funny.
Holy
she was
shit.
just like having the time of her life, right? And I was just like, I'm sorry. Like I said, I was pretty buzzed too because I didn't really restrain her, and Jessica gets a little feisty. A lot of people who drink do, and we're the same size. I'm a little taller, but still,
she's a little thicker.
Like she's
no,
like
not taller.
I wasn't trained as I am today to like restrain someone and
today you would have put her in a chokehold and just dropped her.
No, but I would have been more confident and be like, yo, chill, bro. But like got a little bit like restrained, like you need to chill, we're gonna get in trouble, which is what happened. Then the cops came over, they're just like, dude, you're too drunk or whatever. And then I was like, nah, like leave her alone, that's my cousin, she didn't do it. Like I was like freaked out because they were using a little bit of force, and then Jessica was too. She's like, nah, fuck that. And I was like, fuck the police. Not just playing. But it was just so scary for me. Like, I'm being dramatic, but I don't have interactions with the police like that. And Jessica was ready. Because remember, there was another time we had got kicked out of another state.
It was a saddle ranch, remember?
It was like Jessica's ready.
Out of the saddle ranch, that hit gas restaurant.
Because there was this big security guard that she bumped into. What?
I have a problem with authority when I'm drunk. I was like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me. And then like
that's not white privilege. That's that Karen shit. But rest in peace to the Saddle Ranch because they closed down a while ago, a couple years ago.
Dang, that was our
spot.
stomping ground. Okay, so
I did get kicked out of there like a week prior.
Yeah, so Jessica gets like super morphed up. She goes after the biggest and the baddest men. Like the bigger and taller and more aggressive looking, she's like you. And so that's what the cops, they were like, nah, she's drunk. They were treating her like a drunk person, like get the hell out of here. And I was like, what? And then everybody ignored me. Like I was like, what do I do now with my life? How do I get out of here? Where am I going? I don't know if I had my phone. Nobody was answering their phone, like, oh.
I could just see Jessica going, Cindy, shut up and don't tell them anything, okay?
Let me just clarify. We were in the black hole in the Raider game. And mind you, it was a 0, like Raiders had not scored. So being in the black hole at that moment sucked. But I was there like, and everyone's like, we're losing. So why is this girl so damn hyper probably? Like I just brought more attention to myself because had it been a winning scoring game, I probably would have been just as loud as everyone and no one would have noticed. But since we were sucky.
Two girls jumping around, like looking stupid. Oh my God.
I was running up and down the aisle, smacking people's heads. Like, come on, get up. Like,
What the fuck?
was this necessary?
I just want to say real quick, I'm done with my story. But I just want to say real quick, I never knew that this was a secret. I didn't know Jessica didn't like to talk about it. I didn't. Now I understand why it was such a big deal to Eloy, because to me, I'm like, what? I don't get the story. I don't understand. Like, like I just don't. But I was there for the whole thing. Well, up to where she got arrested, and I was like, it was stressful. Like it wasn't fun, like. And so, and I had to walk back by myself, and I was scared and alone, and I was like, it was a long walk, and I was buzzed. And so that's dangerous. That's like, as a woman, like I felt super scared. I was very vulnerable, and I didn't know where I was at, and there was a lot of people. And so whatever. So I get back, and then fast forward. So Robert comes back, and he has all of this bad news about, yeah, I can't go home. So he's in a bad mood, right? So they're making calls to like find out what's going on. I don't remember. I think at that point they were just still trying to figure out where you were at, and they were like, Robert's like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick her up, and then we're gonna go. And I was me and Cynthia. We were still drinking, I think, smoking. I don't know. And I was like, yeah, I'm going too. I want to get my cut. I want to rescue her. Like, let's save her. Save Jess.
Oh,
Save my
yeah.
dog Jess. And Robert,
What the fuck?
oh
do you
my
wanna
God,
go
Robert just
for?
is like, you're not going. And he just got crazy. And I was like, first of all, it's not that serious. Like if we can't go, but like he just turned it into something else. Ego trip because I was under the influence. That's why I don't like alcohol, because people get so mad.
Now I
And
remember.
yeah, ego tripped, and then that's it. Me and Robert didn't talk after that for like 2 months,
You see, Jess?
because I was like, why did you do that? And he was like, I'm like, you should have never went. So that's why I keep saying Robert should have never. That was a very irresponsible college student thing to do, and then you took it out on me, because you know what? And he did. He took it out on me, like all of his frustration. I just came in at the perfect time, and he was like, and I was like, I'm going with Eloy to San Francisco to drop off Josh, because I was embarrassed. Like we kind of went at it in front of everybody, and it was brief. It didn't get crazy, but it's awkward. It's uncomfortable to go at it. Like I don't like fighting with people or arguing, and I was just being drunk, and I'm like, I'm gonna go rescue my Prima. And Robert's like, you better shut the hell up before I kill you right now. And he's just like talking about his whole entire energy, and I'm just like, F you, man.
This actually validates me because
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
You've never apologized before, so thank you for that.
No, you should apologize.
So you're apologizing to me right now, which is great. Let me go. Continue. So yeah, my sister and me are going at it, and I'm just like, get the hell out of my face right now. You're still drunk. I'm not at your level right now. You have no idea what I'm going through. I'm the only one in the world that is going through. I was in my feelings. My sister was completely right and just enjoying herself, and I was just stressed out because Jessica did me dirty. Jessica did me dirty. I mean, I'm like,
you did, Jess.
This is my baby cousin. I never talked to her. There's a reason why I've always avoided her.
And she looks intimidated.
Faced with the reality right then and there. I'm kidding, cuz.
No, I know.
But I was totally being in my feelings, and it was funny. Now reading it, but in that moment, man, I think the funniness. If you could have just had like a camera on me through that whole, like just my emotions of what I was going through, walking on the side of the freeway in sandals,
and his thong sandal flip flops.
Thong sandals. I had those rainbows. If anybody's ever had rainbow sandals, you get that little rash in between your toes, and so I'm like, I don't care because the calluses are gonna go away on my drive back. And then it just happened. And then we get to go pick up my tia Gloria because they're like, I guess we're gonna stay in the RV because my uncle didn't have a hotel anymore. So they decided they're gonna stay in the RV after we went to go pick up Jessica, and they gave us the news. You can't pick her up till 3 a.m. So my Theo and my Theo was like, yeah, mijo, we gotta go pick up your tia. And I guess we'll just stay in the RV or in the truck. And I'm like, my tia seeing my face, and all she kept saying was, I'm sorry, mijo. Mijo, I'm sorry, right?
You don't feel like a dick, Robert?
I do. But at the moment I was in my feeling, nobody else mattered. Like, cater to me. You know what I mean? How dare Jessica? You know what I mean? Slap ball people.
How dare Jessica live her youthful life? Anyways, Cindy, you had mentioned it. So, and I brought it up earlier at the beginning too. Like, I've honestly always wanted to hear your side of the story because I'm sure you told me how it went down when it happened. Like, obviously, I lived it, but like, whenever I wanted to reminisce about this story with the people that it happened to and happened with, Jess would always like say no. So I never felt. I was always like, why can't we tell this story? It's so funny to me. I remember just or get once I got back to the tailgate, Robert's anger had me laughing. Like that was funny to me. I feel bad for my sister because she got off like they got into it with each other. But to me, I was like I felt bad for Robert, but I guess in that moment I knew 10 years from now Robert's gonna laugh at this moment, and it was hilarious. And
Oh yeah, for sure. When it came up, like, hey, let's talk about this. I was like, yes, and I don't care. Bring up me acting a fool because like my little pity fest that I'm not getting home. Like I thought it was all funny, but
And I
Jess,
that
repeat,
moment,
just real quick, I did not know, Eloy, that Jess didn't like talking about it.
yeah, I figured that
But we
out
talked
once.
about it, Eloy. I feel like
I
Abraham
feel like
always
me.
brings it up.
That's why I feel like the people who were there talk about it,
Oh, yeah. I
yes,
see
you
what
but
and
you're
me
like
saying.
never talked
every
about
time
it.
I want to tell a story to people, like, but
I
out
see.
of
I see
respect,
what
I
you
never
mean.
did it. But I just didn't know why it took you so long to see how funny. This is a good, entertaining story, but I had to obviously respect that you didn't want me to do it, so I never did. And that's why I'm like, this is a
And
perfect
see,
time.
to
If she's
me,
willing, let's do it on the episode.
And
Man,
Jess,
if we could find my mug shot, that'd be pretty cool,
If we
Eloy.
could do like an
was
animation cartoon version of this, like with our voices, like saying what's happening, and it'd be just like a cartoon of Jess pushing a police, like, "Yo, what the hell you want?"
Jess, and you and me never talked about this, not even playing.
Yes, we have, Robert.
Nope, it's been in front of Abraham, but you and me never talked about it. We gave each other the eye, like we saw somebody getting murdered, but we always kind
We
of
talked about
looked
it
at
when
each
we
other
went
like,
to Oakland. Didn't you go to Oakland in November? Did you go
I
to
feel like
Oakland?
we talk about this story a lot.
Yeah, did you go to Oakland
Between
in
us,
November? When Eloy Martin
he did. You
broke the
did go,
winch?
Robert.
Okay, we were talking about it then. And then even Eloy was like, man, like just bringing it up because it was a tailgate. And I was like, last time I was there had been the last time I was at an
I gotta
Oakland
be
game.
Robert was fresh on those feelings. Every time he goes to Oakland, all he can do is reminisce how he felt at that moment.
That was my first time since that moment. So since I was 21, I never gone to a tailgate because I was banned. Let's
She
talk
was
about that for a
banned
second.
from the game. They had her face everywhere.
So in November when we went, this a year ago, right? It's been a year already. Because that was the last time the Raiders were going to be playing there. So I was like, I have to go. It's been 8 years. I think I'm over it. Emotionally, I think I moved on. But we were talking about it and we were all laughing. So we've talked about it, but you're
I feel
right.
like Robert wants to be compensated somehow, like money. I don't know. I feel like he's owed something.
pay me for my time.
And your parents were really nice to give him a free ride back and still apologize because
Let him
things
know.
aren't going his way. They were apologizing to him. That's crazy.
You're so annoying, Robert.
Crazy. Okay, and so
No,
one
just
thing
kidding.
that happened in the RV. So I'm like, all right, I'll just sleep in the bed because everybody's got a bed. Tia Gloria Mateo Javi get the bed, and I'm sitting on this armchair thing, and I'm like, this just cannot get any better.
Dude, so that was
Dang,
gonna be
that's
part of my
crazy.
next story, but I was gonna tell how we had a good time in San Fran, me and Cindy. But I do remember when we got back from San Fran and we get to the RV. I remember Robert sleeping like a turtle on his back on that armchair. And like, 'cause as soon as you open the door, he's the first thing you saw, and he just looked pissed. Like no one talked to me. Like that was the last thing before he went to sleep in that position. He said, "No one talked to me," and then he just ended like that.
And nobody was even talking to him.
Like Robert,
The story's
Or
more
maybe
about you,
you
Robert.
made it known you were pissed.
Robert, like no one's been talking to you, Robert. Like
I get kicked out of the
you've
queen
been
size
killing
bed.
everyone's buzz, and we're all trying to enjoy the second half of this tailgate.
Yeah, everybody's everybody's energy came way down. Like I don't know why everybody was able to get affected by that. That's why I'm glad I left.
But
And we did have a great time in San Francisco. Like, I had never
that was
been there.
tight.
That was never the plan. I was like, hey, can I go with you guys? I was going to stay back with everybody and chill, you know?
It was random
I
because
sneaked out, yeah.
it was so random because where we were tailgating happened to
And
be
it
the
had just,
parking lot.
Robert and me's little session just had happened. And so Eloy was leaving at the time. He was like, all right, well, we got to go back anyways. And I was just like, hey, I just like kind of ran. I was like, can I go with you guys? And yeah, so that was super cool. And then we saw Josh's dorm and like, we got to see like the neighborhood a little bit, and it was really cool. So that part was great.
Well, you guys were enjoying Frisco. Do you want to hear my end of the story? I'm glad you guys had fun.
All right, go ahead. I do wanted to hear. First, I wanted to ask you, Jess. So, where does your memory end from the tailgate to like? Do you remember entering the Coliseum? Like, where does your memory end?
So it's like patches of it of my memory. So like I remember walking in. I remember sitting. I thought we were sitting together, Eloy, and I vaguely remember Cindy always with me. And then I just remember telling Cindy, "Oh, I don't remember those girls like getting rowdy.
Who are those bitches?" And you just started saying,
"I don't remember that."
Raider.
I threw my beer at them. Let's go, Prima. No, just kidding.
Yes.
So I vaguely remember telling her, "Oh, let's go get more beer." And I remember double fisting. And I was like, was that necessary? Like looking back, at my life choices, that was not necessary.
Just got back to her seats with 2 full beers in her hand. And as soon as she sat down, she said, Sydney, let's go get more beer.
And then
yeah, she was like so hard.
I vaguely remember then from that moment, then I remember being in the black hole and running like up and down the stairs. I remember seeing Junior and Ruben and my dad. I don't know how we all made it to the black hole because you have to be a season ticket holder, and it's very obvious, right? They all have their ticket taking, and I didn't have mine. So there I was, like just being rowdy for no reason. And then I vaguely remember the cops telling me, "All right, that's it, we're taking you in." So I don't even remember the warnings if they gave me any. I remember them taking me to like the drunk tank in the stadium. And I remember sitting down and I see my dad across from me. And I remember crying. Once I saw my dad, I'm like, fuck, man, I have the cuffs. I'm cuffed behind my back, sitting on a chair with like 10 other people around me. And I'm like, oh man. Once I saw my dad right there in front of me, see me arrested, I remember starting crying. And then I remember my dad asking them, like, this is my daughter, like, let me just take her. And instead of me like just listening, I was like, nah, fuck that. Fuck these guys, Dad. Like, don't try to save me.
Classic drunk Jess.
Don't try to save me.
And then
she said, thug life.
And then they transported me in a van.
Fuck this rent-a-cop security guard who thinks he could just throw me up in this fucking box. Fuck that. Like, you're nothing but a doorman. That was Jess.
You're a doorman.
Exactly. Instead of just complying, I'm sure if I would have just been like, oh, listening, they would have released me to my dad at that moment. But I didn't. So then they transported me in a white van, I remember, in like cages with like 6 other females to the facility, the correction facility. And then they booked me. They put me in like the jumpsuit. You were
sobering up at this point.
Yeah, vaguely. So I remember the whole, like, it was like an hour drive, or I don't know how far it was, to be honest, from the stadium. I remember they fingerprinted me, and they're like, "Oh, what are you in for?" And I was like, "Oh, I think like being drunk in public, And then they took my picture, and then they put me in a room with like 10 other women. And then I was like, oh man.
Did
and
you
there was
bond
a phone. There was a phone there. So I was like, okay, cool. I can call out. And this was a time where you still memorize. You can memorize phone numbers. And so the only people's number I remember was my mom, my dad, and my boyfriend at that time. I called my dad, but they had to link a credit card for me to get through. And my parents didn't have credit cards at that time. So I was like, fuck, man. Like, so then I called my boyfriend at that time. And so I called him drunk, crying. And I'm like, guess where I'm at, right? You know that tone, like, you have a collect call from this person. Do you accept the charges? And he had a credit card, thank God, at that time. And he's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm I'm in a drunk tank. Like, can you call my parents and tell them like where I'm at? And he was like my means of communication. So I remember hanging up with him and then calling him back. And like, what did they say? He's like, okay, they told them this, that they're going to release you at 3:00. It's currently this time because there was no watches in there or clocks, you know? He's like, it's currently this time. He's like, you have like 6 hours left to go. So just go to sleep. I can hear how drunk you sound. And so he was my only means of communication with him and my parents. Like, you know what I mean?
Did he say, don't become no one's bitch?
Then
don't tell them don't
Jess.
tell them you're in there because you're drunk. Tell them you stabbed someone.
Jess.
Yeah.
Did you bond with anybody?
Yes, I remember talking to people because I was crying in the corner and they were like, what are you in for? And I'm like, oh, for being drunk in public. They were like, I was like, what are you guys in for? They're like, oh, for fighting at the Oakland game. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And they were all Raider fans, so thank God. And then this other old lady was like, oh, I got pulled over for drinking and driving. She's like, but the reason why she got arrested was she drove all the way home, even though they were like pulling her over. And she's like, well, I thought if I was on my property, they couldn't arrest me. But so she got out of the car, and as she was getting out of her car to her house, they're like, ma'am, what are you doing? And she was like, this old ass lady. She's like, but this is like my 10th DUI. I already know the routine. And then I remember getting scared because all these women were like, yeah, we know we're not getting released until like 36 hours. And I'm like, why are you guys not getting released? But because the girls fighting really messed somebody up. So they're like, well, we have to wait for this person to get out of the hospital and see like her condition. Shit. And then the old lady was like, well, this is like my 3rd DUI, so I'm sure they're not going to release me because she's already done this so many times.
These were repeat offenders.
Yeah,
this is where Jess turned her life around.
And then I was like, I cannot stay here for 3 days and get booked. And they were going to go to a bed, like, you know, where the bunk beds were. And they're like, yeah, we already know the routine. Oh, and then I remember meeting some prostitutes. They're like, yeah, we got caught again. Like, so everyone in there already knew what was gonna come. And there I was calling my boyfriend again, like, am I really gonna say, like, are they really gonna book me? He's like, no, like, relax. Because he was my only means of communication. I didn't call anyone else. I didn't call you guys. Because I only memorized my parents, my mom's number, and his number. Imagine that.
You should have called Robert. Robert, I know I really want to hear from you right now.
I would have just whispered, Jessica, just tell him to give you the electric chair. Just get him with you.
No, he was like, Jessica, I'm pressing charges, bro.
Lose my number.
Robert was like, Jessica, you better hope they don't release you.
No, Your Honor, I don't accept the call. Click.
Damn, yeah.
So then around like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they finally released me. And then there's Robert, my dad, my mom, and there I am crying. And Robert's like, get in the fucking car. Like, I'm like, bro.
And then oh, dude, you know what really pissed me off about you? You come out crying. Mom, get the hell out of here. Man, I should be crying, man. Get Jess in the trunk and let's go. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm never getting home.
Those are weird vibes from you, bro. I know you don't got my back if I ever got arrested.
I do now. I mean, Jess, I think I even dabbed you or something. I just say I know.
Like, get in the car. He smacked my head.
I feel like your opinion was the only one Jess cared for, and you were obvious about it. Like,
no. And then I remember I slept the whole way, and Robert drove home. 6 hours.
So energized. My anger. I was like that red one in that cartoon. That red angry guy from that cartoon. Like, what is it? Inside Out. I was just driving like all the way home, and I was like, "You know, you want to drive? Not a chance."
And when Jessica woke up in the morning, she's like, what happened?"
He was so energized.
She just shook it all off. She's like, she said Mondays, right, Robert?
I was like, I hope nobody needs to go to the restroom because we ain't stopping.
We didn't stop the whole. We got. From Oakland is typically a 6-hour drive. Robert got there in 3. He was just hauling ass. It was like, fuck yeah, no fucks.
Robert.
Damn, Robert. I hope you got help for that. Those are angry.
It just laid all the way back for 5 hours.
How did you do on your midterm? Do you even remember?
You got an F.
It didn't even matter. I think they, you know what? Just to put the cherry on top, I think the teacher canceled the class that day or something.
Yep. I feel like I remember you saying something like that. Some
I was
stupid.
just,
I remember
and
I
then yeah,
called
every
off
time I
of
was like,
work and
oh my
I changed
god,
my life around. I started going to church on Sundays. I was like,
you,
fuck that.
Jess got pregnant like a
Inside,
couple. Just got pregnant a couple months after that, and then
he came
started
with
her new
Jehovah's
life.
Witness.
I was like, never again do I want to go in there. I was really scared, guys.
You
It
know,
really.
I remember the next time I saw my cousin, she was wearing like that knee high skirt, giving away those pamphlets door to door.
those ankle jean skirts.
Yeah,
She was
they
like,
changed my life around. When Cindy would be like, Prima, let's go out. I'm like, not Cindy. I don't do that anymore. And I would just hang up. No explanation.
That did
she was
suck if
like,
that was why you changed, because I feel like I was getting ready to experience it. Like, damn, that's tight. If Jessica lives like this, I'm about to start partying with her.
I remember I got really drunk in Coachella, which had to be 4 years later. And my friends knew this story about me. And I was really drunk. And she was like, dude, if you don't sober up, they're going to arrest you. And I remember like, even she was like, once I said that, my whole demeanor changed. I was like, okay, you're right. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to get arrested.
You heard someone say, Raiders! And they just flicked the switch.
And just
And
started going like that.
Jess, I
remembering.
had my Jess moment once a couple years ago, and I took it out on Martin, and maybe for another episode. But I know what it feels like, so I can't really blame you for everything. It's in our blood. But
That's a whole different story. But Robert got so drunk that he was just slapping constantly Martin throughout the night, and Martin
literally
just,
slapping, and Martin would just stand there,
he
and I'm
didn't
like,
know
why
how
wouldn't you move?
he
And
didn't know how to
why
express
wouldn't
it.
you move, Martin? He goes, because I ain't no punk bitch.
Nah, that's the type of stuff that I would like not talk to you for a really long time about.
Anyways, Frisco was fun though. I'm glad that got to happen. But we're getting close to the end here. Anyways, pretty
Glad
much.
we all healed. I'm glad we all healed. I'm glad you apologized finally, Cindy.
I'm glad we finally got to get this
Whatever.
story out.
Jess, I'm sorry. I mean, hey, the one feather on your cap is out of all of the family. As much as we wanted to think thug life, you're the only one that's ever been to jail.
Yeah, Jess.
So you can
You
get that
represent.
teardrop on your face one day.
You earned your stripes.
It's true. Your brother never lets me forget Abraham every single game.
Just to make sure that your boyfriends are the ones. If they can take that story and it doesn't scare them away, then they're the one.
Do you know why we call her the ultimate Raider fan? Oh, you don't know the story? And then he just starts going from there.
I've never met you.
I know.
But you know, Jess has been to the pen, right? You know, she conceived her daughter in jail, right?
But no, thanks, guys. I mean, yeah, 9 years ago, and I was told a different person. It really was. But those were fun times. I'm glad I went through them because I wouldn't be the person I am today.
This was one for the books. Everyone's life changed after this.
My sister moved to Colorado.
She did.
Yeah.
I got a girlfriend who's now my wife.
I ended up getting my master's degree.
Boring.
In social work.
Boring.
I really want to help people.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thanks,
moral
family.
of the story is.
I never told Josh that my cousin's out of jail already.
Sign us off, Cindy.
Okay, well, moral of the story is what?
Oh.
Drink responsibly?
You live and you learn.
Definitely
YOLO.
drink. Drink responsibly. I wouldn't say YOLO, but definitely drink responsibly. For those listeners out there thinking, I want to be just like Jess. She doesn't even want to be like that. So definitely drink responsibly. But if you do have one of those stories, hopefully you live through it and get to tell it.
I think the moral of the story is find a co-pilot that's gonna have your back and not be like, don't do it. Somebody that can choke you out and carry you out.
Now
arrested.
I could do that now, but we were really young and dumb back then. Like that was at the hype of our partying times, and it was. Come on, everyone goes through their irresponsible times.
As you can see, Robert still wants answers. He's not over this.
No, that was a long time ago. I think we were just young. We were young, like.
Yeah, I was 21.
Yeah. I also don't think it's a big. I also don't think it's a big deal. Like, I know I have friends who like have family members like for real in prison, and so I just felt like, and then I didn't have a good time, so I think maybe that's why I was never like that's the greatest infamous story. I was like, no, you weren't there. But I didn't know it was a secret, so that's cool to talk about. I also want to say that I had a really good time. Like, obviously, like, that sucks that Jess got arrested, but in general, like, I was really close to the kids at the time, to Cynthia and them, so I had a really good time. It ended up being fun. And Frisco was fun. So thanks everybody for listening. This was the Primas and the Primos talking about the infamous Raider game in 2000.
11.
What?
Oh,
2011.
I said
9
one.
years ago. So I've been in Colorado for 9 years, or like almost 9 years. Awesome. So yeah, thanks for listening. We hope you guys liked. Give us some feedback, please, please, please. Tell us what you think about the story. If you liked it, if we should do more of these. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Dream gang.